Hi, so I'm very happy to say a big hello and welcome to Paula's Run Club with me, Paula Radcliffe.
And me, Christopher Thompson.
Also known as Thommo, and you'll notice we've rebranded a little bit from the marathon to be more of a general run club. But certainly speaking for myself, Thommo, I am really, really happy to be back talking to everyone. And I want to start off with a huge thank you to everybody who listened last time to the Marathon Run Club and everybody who's tuning in now. We are looking forward to being with you now on a weekly podcast, continuing talking all things running and really being your running community hub. So we want it to continue being the place where you can come to ask any of those questions, any of those paranoias, anything that's on your mind and you think it's a bit dumb to ask that question. It's never a dumb question. Please come to us. We can't promise we'll solve it, but we'll give it a good go.
Yeah, I can't believe we're saying we're back, because it feels like the other day when we the concept of doing a pod together was put out there, and then we've actually already done a series, and now we're back, and it's cool. I'm really excited. It's nice to get back in touch with everyone, hear what they've been up to, hear what's been going on since London, and we can hopefully, like you say, I think that's the bit, we'll try our best to help people as much as we can, but not one person has all the answers.
No, but we will try around a little bit. We've made some of those mistakes, as we saw with me in the last series. I can make those mistakes that I tell people not to make, and go out and do that. And in fact, we'll probably talk about that a little bit later on, but I probably did that in Boston in terms of when you feel an injury, you probably shouldn't keep running on it for 16 miles.
Yeah, we'll touch upon that in a minute of a little bit more about that. It certainly is interesting because it was a familiar face from the previous series, Gerard, who was on one of the episodes, who came to your rescue, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
So, like, the aims of this club, I think that's one of the things that just to... Obviously, last time we followed a marathon build-up to London, and it was hopefully, everyone's going to get some, who did other marathons, got something out of it, which seemed to be the feedback. But for this one, we're hopefully going to be a bit more, like you say, generic with running, because running is not just marathon, it's lots of events. Yes, we want to look at marathon, but there is 5Ks, 10Ks, lots of different things out there. So I think
and let's face it, that's one of the beautiful things about running, isn't it? And about the running community. I think it's absolutely tailoring it for what you want from it. So at this time of year, it can be managing the stress through exams if you're studying and going through that yourself. It can be parents managing the stress of kids going through the exams. I wish I could do that right now, because that would really help to manage that. It can be building up to be able to get onto a minute jog, 5-minute walk. It can be your local park run. We might join you in one of those. That will come later on. So really looking forward to pulling in that part of the community. So what we're hoping is that Paula's Run Club will become a little bit more than just a podcast, and we'll have those opportunities to interact with you on the running platforms and to actually physically have some live pods where we come along to local runs and really capture that community and be able to get that euphoria, that excitement, that community that is so brilliant and unique to running.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're hoping that this can be a bit of the community hub that you help grow and build through your own personal journeys. We want to hear your stories, good, bad or ugly, because they all exist. It's all part of the fun. Hopefully we can get some good advice for people to walk away with, and also information. I mean, it sounds like a big ask, but I think at the same time, when you create an open platform for people to be free and relaxed, and like you say, no question is too silly, and we're all trying to figure out the fun that is running and find that relationship with running that helps us achieve goals or whatever the heck it is. Hopefully this is a safe place for people to come and bring their like I say, their stories, their fun, their information, questions, and we also want you to sort of help us inspire some of the episodes so that we can deep dive. I know one person spoke to me and said, I'd love to hear more about the rehab process and how you set your mind and how you can do that, and that could be something we look into more, and how we've dealt with injuries, and that's quite relevant for you right now,
Paula.
Go
through that with us, exactly.
Yes.
So we can use your questions to pull in and guide the guests that we're going to continue having each week, if we can do as well, as much as possible. So please do start already thinking about those questions. You can send them in on socials. We know that if you're listening to this, you've probably seen that we were coming back, so you're already following those at Paula's Run Pod, and we do have an email address, a new email address, which is paulasrunclub@momentum broadcast.co.uk, and you can start sending in those questions to that one as well. But yeah, in terms of the rehab issue that you touched on, I think we're both kind of rehabbing a little bit now. Actually, ironically, from the last series, you're further ahead than I am, because I did mess up my calf, I think would be a proper way to describe it. Basically, I tore it quite badly. It seems at 9 miles, and when I saw Gerard a couple of days ago, he looked at it and he said, yeah, if you'd stopped when that went, I would have been telling you that's 4 to 5 weeks. Because you ran 16 miles on it, you're now looking at about 12 weeks. So I'm not quite there yet, but that does reassure me that the pain that I'm feeling is not something else wrong, or because I'm 51 and tried to run some marathons on it and have done lasting damage. I just need to give it a little bit longer because I was silly and I ran on an injury. So I'm sucking it up. I'm doing a lot of cross training, a lot of rehab. So a lot of those single leg balancing things that we worked through with Gerard with the RDLs, a lot of step downs, and a lot of single standing straight leg and bent legged calf raises for the moment.
Yeah, it's because it's interesting with someone, my chiropractor, shout out to Tom Greenways. He really held me together in the latter part of my career. And something he said to me, which always resonated, was how runners, especially elite runners, have this ability to kind of almost run around issues, so they can go a little bit further than they should do when they've got a niggle. For we have that kind of brain that can switch things off in the heat of a moment, but you also physically can almost slightly alter your mechanics, almost subconsciously, to favour muscles that are working a little bit better than others. So for you to run for 16 miles on what's turned out to be a bit of a, well, use your words, messed up calf, but he is sometimes a good thing, and also can be a curse, because you can dig a bigger hole. But one of the things I thought we spoke when you said about Gerard mentioned that if you compared, sprinters, when we spoke, and he's mentioned Usain Bolt, just any sprinter, and you touch their calf when their foot's on the ground, they're just solid as a rock. And some people are slightly softer calves, but when you lie down, it should be quite palpable. It should be quite relaxed when it's lying down, and that was not the case for your calf, wasn't it?
No, exactly. So I was laying down, and it was basically, bear in mind, I had a fair amount of edema and bruising came out in that calf. I couldn't see my ankle for a couple of weeks after I'd finished the race, so I caused a lot of swelling in there. Basically, he wobbled both calves. Really technical term here, but the movement in my right calf was a lot more soft and pliable, and he basically said that kind of like jelly movement when you're laying down, you're not weight bearing. That's what a healthy muscle should look like. Whereas the other one felt solid, felt full, and still has some way to go in terms of healing. And the other way I explained it, which really made sense, was when you have a tear and the fibres heal. So you basically tear the fibres heal, they kind of heal or mush together. And so by getting deep tissue massage, by lots of stretching, and by lots of the eccentric exercises, what you're doing is elongating and stretching out those fibres again so they're aligned. And that's a good thing, because that means the muscle can function properly. If you keep all of that gluey scar tissue in there, you're asking for another tear, which is essentially what was happening every time I tried to get back to running on it. So it's being patient and seeing that rehab process through whatever level you're trying to get at. And I think probably in my head I made the excuse of, I only just want to run for fun now. I only just want to be able to get out. So do I need to give it a full rehab like I used to when I was a professional athlete? And yeah, I can probably take a bit longer doing it and spread it out more, because I'm not rushing it, but I still need to see that process through.
Yeah, it's because it is. I'm going through that process right now. You kind of that time and energy and effort you've got to dedicate to the process to get back to fully up to speed. Because it's like, I always go back to things like a Formula One car. It's like, if you're driving a car that's designed to go at 200 miles per hour, if you drive at 150, it's going to be happy. It's when you start pushing it, you have to do all the things just to keep it, make sure it's oiled, the wheels are healthy, everything. And it's when you want to push the body to its personal limits, you've got to take that kind of care and attention. But I think that to keep it on point of what you're talking about with the calf, I definitely think, and it goes for any muscle in the body, I always found the diagnosis aspect being the key bit, because it can be quite easy to get confused between a tight calf, a deactivated calf, or a just a lack of function,
neural.
neural function. There's a few different things that can kind of feel the same or look the same, but that's where getting a good diagnosis can set you on the way. Because if you start treating it for something that it's not, which is half the battle at the end of the day, because the information and the rehab processes are out there, but it's getting you on the right path to the one that's going to get you fixed. Because as soon as it's almost like a euphoric moment of, yes, this is now getting better, but when it's not, it can be a bit frustrating, a bit like, well, what is this? Which I know you went through, because it was almost like this unknown until Gerard went, light bulb moment, this is it. And it's like, okay, right, 3 weeks, I can set my mind.
Yeah, it's having the plan, isn't it? And I think probably that comes from years as an athlete, working towards your target. It's like when we do 16 weeks to London, that's your main target, and there's the plan, you're working towards it. So when you have a definite diagnosis and you set the plan, yes, it can be hard to accept that sometimes I'm going to have this long without running, but at least you know that there's light at the end of the tunnel and you can focus on working through that, and you can then use the time that you would normally be using in a nicer way in terms of running, but you can use that time for the cross training, the rehab process, and working your way back. And tip from the past as well, it certainly makes that next run back feel a little bit more sweeter and a lot more enjoyable, because you're kind of there and it's like a sigh of relief. I'm back and I can go out for a run no matter how small.
Yeah, we take for granted the ability just to go out the door without pain and just do however long that's your norm. I think it can be quite humbling when you feel like you know, it makes it doubly worse when you can't do something, even if you can't because you haven't got the time. Knowing you can't go out for a run, if that's your norm, it's hard. Frustrating.
And on that, I think I'd like to take some time here in this short episode that we're doing just to touch on all those people, because I know I've had messages and the results of the ballot came out for the London Marathon. So I do appreciate that while there will be a lot of really happy people who have finally got in and have that race to focus on, there are also a lot of people, probably over 1 million people, who did not make it in. And so, what do you do now in terms of that goal is no longer there? You will feel deflated, you will feel angry, you will feel probably like going out and smashing a hard run just to burn off that frustration. But then think about it, reassess. There are other races, there are other years that you can try and keep working towards London. So it isn't the end of the world. We appreciate that it is really, really disappointing. And I guess we'd like to take the time in this episode just to touch on different scenarios that you can play out, other options that are out there that you can work towards, and different ways that you can perhaps get in, maybe via the charity route. That can work out an expensive way, as we know, but there is that route. And there are plenty of other marathons which also are really, really great marathons that you can look at around that time.
Yeah, I think I did rough maths based on what I could see online that getting into London Marathon now, because of the level of numbers that are trying to enter the ballot, it's upwards of a 50-1 shot. So it is tough, but again, it's and I think I'm right. Fact check me if you know this, Paula, but it's the most balloted, the biggest entry in the marathon entry in the world, because it's such a iconic, and it's only going to go one way. And I think people, the kind of options, like you say, for entering marathon, just brushing over a few of them, things like good for age, or there is the championship, there is the charity route. I did actually see yesterday a partner of London Marathon were offering a spot through a competition, so there will be things like that, but just keeping your eyes open. But I think it is disappointing, it is sad, but I think in my weird and crazy and wacky brain that I've used throughout my life is when something gets harder to attain, it makes it that much sweeter when you do. And I think that's kind of like the bigger the frustration, the bigger the high if you keep trying and keep hopefully. And like you say, there are other marathons, and just to mention a couple, because again, we're open, friendly, we don't have one particular race, but in April next year, I just quickly looked up, there is the Brighton Marathon on the 12th of April. There's the Manchester Marathon on the 19th, which was the same weekend as London this year. And there's Newport Marathon on the same day as Manchester. So there are other marathons in April.
There's Paris as well.
Yes. If you fancy getting on the Eurostar or other transport is available. I wouldn't run there.
Don't run there, no.
No. But I think, and there also is, and again, I don't know. I'm going to make it sound silly, but you might already knew. But obviously, they did the virtual marathon during the lockdown for London.
Yeah.
But they still do the lockdown
Yes.
not lockdown, the virtual marathon for London, don't they?
They do. So
And
that is another aspect. That is, I have to say, a different experience psychologically. To get through that is going to be tougher. You're going to need some family and friends, maybe do it as part of a group together. Perhaps even you can do it. I am not sure if this is allowed, but I wonder if you can do it on a similar route. Obviously, there will be traffic on the roads, but a similar route and a different weekend. That may be.
I think there's a time scale on the website. I think it might be midnight to midnight on the day. I'd have to double check myself. I have this, I kind of flash read things sometimes, but I think it has to be on that Sunday, or it might be the weekend. But finding a quiet spot, like you say, I thought, imagine if you got a few of you entered, got some family and friends, got like a 5k loop or something, and kind of create your own mini London marathon. That could be a thing. I don't know. You never know.
Definitely. So yeah, I think there are lots of options out there, and so please don't let it knock you. As you said, those odds are, I mean, last count I read about, it was upwards of 1.2 million had entered in that ballot. So the odds of getting in are tough. Doesn't mean you shouldn't try, but please don't be too disappointed and do reassess. You can run. It is still 26.2 miles. All of those other marathons are great experiences as well. We forgot Boston is in there as well. That's also in April.
Yeah.
So yeah,
the one
there you
that
can
got
travel
away
the
from
world.
me. Yeah, the one that got away from me. But I actually
So far.
Well, yeah, so far. Oh, yeah, I do want those. It's up to 7 or 6. Well, it's gone up, hasn't it? But because it was actually my neighbour texts me. His name's Chris as well, down the road, and he got in through the ballot, and it one of the things that went through my head, which if you do know someone that's made London, there's again the big part of London that's so good, or any marathon, is being a spectator and helping. So I thought, I could get out the door and do a bit of training with him and support him. And I think that's something that you can kind of live off their journey by being part of that process, and then on the day be a big supporter and set yourself another race or aim. Because again, I think for marathons we can. I don't know if you ever did this. Is a question for you, Paula. Did you? How much did you bounce from marathon to marathon? I like to kind of go back to shorter stuff for quite a period before going back to a marathon. And so if I did do a marathon and there wasn't like a championship one I was doing as a result of qualifying, I would then go back to 5k, 10k work to then prepare for my next marathon build-up.
Yeah, I mean, I would do that. I would also kind of in my training get in shape for a personal best over 10k in the marathon build-up. So one of my favourite sessions was to test out my 10k pace kind of 10 days before the actual marathon, and very often I would be very close to personal best shape if I was in shape for the marathon. So I think mixing that up, and you're absolutely right, if you haven't got in for a marathon, you have two choices. You can pick another marathon, or you can go and see, right, I'm going to do some shorter distances, and then I'm going to see if next year I can come back and actually, by working on speed, even though it is 5k, 10k, and it's not flat out speed, but by working on that aspect of it, am I going to make my marathon stronger? And certainly, I think psychologically, all of those reasons that we've already touched on here, if you take something away and then you get the opportunity to do it, psychologically, that's a big, big boost. So if you haven't got in, just think of that. It is fuel when you do get in, and wherever you run, you will likely run quicker than you would have done had you got in at the first time, because of that extra psychological boost of just finally getting something that you really want and you working towards it for that little bit longer.
There is, I think that's, again, if throughout my career, the thing that I look back on the most fondly. Now I'm retired, and I look back on how I turned around the disappointments, because quite often, and we did speak the other day about how we judge ourselves on our near misses of the thing we want. And actually, the legacy that we come away with, especially through running, is overcoming adversity. It's the personality traits that become embedded in you, of turning disappointment into the positive. And it's like that sliding door moment. Like when I had my operation in 2014, I think, that ruined my career, and I had 8 years of 10 years of frustration because of it and pain. But actually, there was a lot of doors that opened as a result of it, because of the way I approached and dealt with it, which we can talk about on an episode if we want to, or listeners want to hear. But there is definite kind of, you're in a situation now where you will be in, if you go about it in a positive manner, that you would never have had if you had have gone into London. And so you might end up in a place that's even more exciting and even more awesome. It's not necessarily visual, or you can't see it there, or palpable. It's just about taking that next step in a positive manner to set those aims and ambitions. So I think that's one of the things that, elite athletes have to have embedded in them, that you can't dwell on disappointment. It's like golf. Ignore the last hole.
Yeah. Well, it's the rule of sport, isn't it? Sport is unpredictable, and the odds are you're going to get injured. You're going to have races that won't work out, probably more often than the ones that really work out. And it's about trying. And just touching on that, I know we are recording this. It will drop on Monday the 30th, so thank you if you're listening then. It is tonight that they are attempting, Faith Kipyegon is attempting to break that 4-minute mile. So we haven't ignored that, we just don't know if it's happened yet.
That's a good point,
That is a good example of going out and trying, because I think, to be honest, most people who understand running, most people who've run a mile hard, and most guys who've managed to go sub 4, will turn around and say the odds of her actually doing it are stratospheric in terms of improving those 7 seconds. They are bending the rules. We know that with the formation of 11 male pacers around her. I did just check the weather forecast, and thunderstorms are forecast in Paris today.
They'll have a continuous. It's like with was it Monza, when the first sub 2 hour? I think they moved it a day because of weather. I think, but
they can have that, but they're actually forecast before.
Oh, okay.
It takes me on to another. So one of my big memories is Haile Gebrselassie attacking world records over 5,000 and 10,000 meters, and his team used to water the track beforehand, because there's a theory that if there's moisture in the air, if it's just rained and there's moisture in the air, there's a little bit more oxygen in the air and you run a little bit quicker. That was their theory, and certainly he felt like that. I think it was also a knock-on effect of him badly blistering his feet once in the heat on the track. So the cooler track helped that. But there is that theory, so maybe there'll just be a little bit more oxygen in the air in Paris
I believe it. I've felt that after, because it went through my head when you mentioned storms, and then you said it before. It went through my head. There's oxygen. That exact thing, because I swear I felt that. The other one is dark. Running in the dark makes me feel quick.
Yeah,
whether I am or
because
not.
The street lights go past you faster.
Well,
so,
yeah. There is this psychology. It's almost
is.
like There's a weird one about running in the dark, and after a storm, there's almost even if for me it's the fresh air hitting the back of your lungs that is euphoric. It's a nice feeling. It's almost like cooling your core down or something. I don't know. So is she going to do it? I mean, we don't know. So you don't.
I think it's such a huge performance, and I think already the fact that she's trying to do it is hugely inspirational. I mean, I can remember watching the films and the videos of Roger Bannister breaking it through, and it was a big deal for a man to do that. So now for a woman to do that, and he was knocking on the door, wasn't he? Had he done like 4.2s? 4.2, 4.1.
Something like
that. He just missed it a couple of times. We're asking her to go from 4.07, which was already phenomenal. And I was in the race where Mastakova ran 4.12 in 1996 to set that world record beforehand. And that was already phenomenal running. So to jump down another more than 7 seconds, I think is a huge jump.
It is.
If anyone can do it, she can do it. And with that formation of paces, that's the thing, because I know there's a huge advantage. I mean, I used to use in training running behind the bike. And you see now a lot of elite athletes. I know Jakob Ingebrigtsen will use that a lot in terms of just sitting on the back wheel of the bike and just drafting off that. And that can help you to run quicker. And I guess that's kind of what they're going for with the 11 male pacers that will go the whole way.
See, I have a slightly different idea, because in terms of where they're going to get the time from, and I feel like, and I did see some images of the group, and they look like there's some interesting footwear going on, and my take is I'm going to put my money where I think she'll do it, because I don't think they would it's like with the sub 2 attempt, they wouldn't be doing it unless they were very confident they could, if not do it, get close. And I think it will be right there or thereabouts. I think the standard deviation will be a second. It will be somewhere between 3:59 and 401, 402. I think it will be right on it, in my opinion. But I think for me, a lot of the advantage will come through more to do with the footwear, which will be interesting. I'm sure there'll be lots of images and stuff like that. But
so you're thinking they might put more than one plate in there?
They could be anything like that, and that's just my gut. I just think that
maybe throw back to the last podcast series with Tony Bignell. Maybe they've put the motor in there.
Yeah, there you go. Well, this might be the launch. He might have like Tony's kind of given the hat. Was it the hat out of the bag?
Yeah.
What's the hat? It's not the hat out of the bag. It's
cat out of the bag.
Good Lord, this is why I shouldn't have a podcast or be involved with one. I can't remember what animal comes out of a hat. It's a rabbit out of a hat. It's a magician, isn't it?
Yeah. The cat
comes
out of the bag.
She's going to need a rabbit out of the hat in terms of the cats. Yeah, because the cat is the information and the rabbit is the magic. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't.
You're there.
Yeah, I've got it. I think
the rabbit is also the pacer.
Well, there you go. I think those 7 seconds, and obviously also on the final point before we do need to get to the context, and that is. Another guest of ours was Andy Jones, your ex-physiologist, is a big part of this sub-4 attempt, who has been the physiologist. He was part of the sub-2 team, and he's also part of this team to help him. So physiologically speaking, again, you saw his confidence in you and your future in the marathon when you were just a teenager. He, again, I feel like, his confidence in her being able to do it says a lot as well for me in terms of he'll know what needs to be done. He'll know physiologically and all these different things. So they've got the team, and we've got the ex-guests are heavily involved. I mean, it's I think
huge.
It's going to be interesting.
And the other thing is the magnitude of, if she does it, the knock-on effect that will have in terms of other women believing how much faster they can run over the mile. So I think regardless of whether she actually goes under the 4 or not, we will see a huge improvement in women's 1500 metre times, mile times across the board this summer as a result of that inspirational effect and the effect of young girls taking up athletics. So the spotlight is again on running, and it's just one reason. I mean, my son, who's keen racing at the moment, is kind of looking and trying to work out where the crossover would become, where he could actually get close to the times of an elite female, and she's about to move the bar forward a little bit more.
Yeah, well, it's a very different kind of time, but it's exciting, like you say, because any press around it and stuff like that, and it would be a historic thing if she does it, and like you say, it would end up inspiring male and females and youths and everyone. So we'll see. Right, in danger of carrying on, I think. Well, you're gonna have to do all the kind of social and all the bits getting.
So, well, I think we will get on to that. We can always put that in the links as well below. But we are on now at Paula's Run Club for Twitter X, and for Instagram for the moment at Paula's Run Pod. But you can find us under Paula's Run Club, and then that email address that I did mention earlier. That is the most important one for you to please get your questions through to us. Your wish list, if you like, in terms of a guide that you would like subjects for us to tackle. We really want this to be your community for you. As we've talked about, we'd love to get out to a park run and to kind of run with you there, to gather some information and questions there, and just to really celebrate this run club getting together. You can join together in your groups and keep us updated on how your group training sessions are going as well. So that email address is Paula's Run Club, all one word, all lowercase, at Momentum Broadcast, MOMENTUM broadcast without the s.co.uk. Again, all lowercase. And yeah, please do get in touch, and thank you for joining us again, hopefully on this journey through. And if you joined us on the last one, thank you for joining us on that one too. And just remember, this is all about you. We are here to try and answer those questions and to help and guide you through your running journey wherever you want that to take you.
Yeah, and for myself, thank you, Paula, for having me on with you. And I enjoyed the first series so much, and hopefully, I think it would be great to get for moving forward. We had a lot of questions, but I'd really like to encourage people to send in their stories of funny, whether it's funny stories or inspirations or anything that we can help kind of like talk about big up things that you've achieved, or whether it's just a fun long run that had an incident with a dog. I know I've had one or two of them. No dog was harmed in any story, don't worry. I'm a big dog lover. I'm a fan of dogs, don't worry. So yeah, anything that kind of, I mean, we will try our best to kind of get, address as many as we can, and as many stories and issues like that. Running is a very broad subject, and I think that's our aim with this, is to keep it that kind of friendly hub that people can come to, and help design that sort of notice board, if you like, of ideas, help and give people the ability to inspire each other. Because I always go back to one of my biggest learnings from running was when I ran London Marathon. You think you're doing it for yourself, you're aiming to run well. And then my mum decided to run London Marathon for her own reasons, and that inspired my sister to run. Not because I'd run it, because my mum had run it. And so, you never know who you're inspiring. You never know what your story or what you achieved has inspired someone else to do. And also, sorry, I was going to say before, I just suddenly thought for next week as well.
Yeah.
We're going to brush on is sorry, this is a really bad but Paula, what are we talking about next week?
I was going to come to that.
Oh, were you going to?
When you were talking about inspiration,
we were doing so
well.
well.
That bit out now.
Yeah.
When you're talking about inspiration, I think one of the best places to start is what inspired us to get into running in the first place. How did we get into it? We'd like to hear from you how you got into running as well. And I'm kind of ticking off one of my bucket list things, because hopefully joining us next week, I'm going to have some snippets and some gems from my coach Alex Stanton, who is 90, and I'm coming over to celebrate his birthday this year with all the old running group, and we're kind of getting together, and I'm going to get some little nuggets from him, which he probably honestly is not aware of, how many little inspirational quotes and just sayings he's just kind of thrown out there over the years. I was lucky enough to be introduced to Alex when we moved down from my dad's job to Bedford, and I was 11 years old, and my dad spent a lot of time researching the different clubs and training groups in the area, found Bedford and County, found Alex and Rosemary Stanton, and he was a massive big part of inspiring me to be on the journey that I was on through running. And so I owe him that much. I look on them as second parents, and I'm really looking forward to sharing some of their pearls of wisdom with everybody next week, and maybe some from the other girls in the group as well.
Yeah, I know. Well, shout out to Liz as well, because I ran and friends with all you guys. But yeah, please let us know like how you found running, why you run, all those lovely things. I actually went this couple of days ago. My old PE teacher, which I'll go into next episode, he's the reason I ran, and I went to District Girls to hand out some medals, and it was fun just to see my old PE teacher again, Dave Adams, just an absolute legend. There's someone or an incident or something that inspired you to take that first step, and that reason that you keep getting out the door. We want to hear about it, and we want to celebrate those reasons, because running can mean so much to all of us in so many different ways. So looking forward to it. So
just to remind you again, please do get in touch on that email address. It's paulasrunclub@momentumbroadcast.co.uk. We really do want to hear from you. And another idea that I think would be really cool, Thommo, why don't we have like a run club honours board? So each week, if you've ticked off a target, you've something that you're really, really pleased with yourself for, you might have run a personal best, you might have managed to do all of your hill reps or fartlek, keeping jogging in between, you might have been able to do your 20 minutes without any walk breaks, whatever it is, please do let us know what you have surpassed target wise that week, so we can give you a weekly shout out and congratulations, and you can inspire some more people too.
Exactly. I think that weekly pat on the back is always a nice thing to have. And again, this is a big part of the DNA of what we're trying to do is you never know. I always think you never know who you might inspire. So no matter what it is, even if it's just going out the door for your first run, or whatever it might be, you never know who that might inspire. So please let us know, and inspire the person that you never knew existed or never met.